Hi, my name's Trudy McDonald. I'm the Managing Director of TalentCode HR. Employee engagement is such a big thing for so many organisations. The big question is, should you be measuring it? When should you be measuring it, and how frequently should you be measuring it? So let me take a step back a little bit. When we're looking at employee engagement, we're not looking at measuring employee satisfaction nor employee happiness, but rather something much broader referred to as employee engagement. Now, why is this so important? It's important because if we've got high levels of employee engagement in our organisation, we're going to get two things in return. The first is we're going to get discretionary effort, and that often leads to improved productivity and improved performance. The second thing that you're going to get is loyalty, and that's also known as retention. In this video, what I wanted to share with you are some really practical approaches to measuring employee engagement and some best practice approaches to make sure that you get the best out of the data that you're accessing. One thing that's really important to note when we measure employee engagement is that whether we're doing it via interviews or whether we're doing surveys, the measurement reflects how your employees are feeling at a point in time. And depending on what's going on around that more broadly, that data can be quite skewed. So straight away, it tells us that more frequent measurements of employee engagement are more useful than less frequent measures. Traditionally, organisations would measure employee engagement either on an annual basis or even biannually. However, now with technology, reduced costs, and the ability to do shorter pulse checks, as they're often referred to, many organisations are measuring employee engagement on a quarterly basis. Others are even measuring it more frequently. And in those situations, they're really focusing in on a handful of areas that they're deliberately focusing on improving within the organisation. So how do we make sure that we're getting the highest quality data so that we can act on it? The first thing is your messaging to your employee base around why you're actually measuring this, but also what's going to happen after they provide their feedback. There needs to be a high level of trust that the data is going to be treated with sensitivity, that there's not going to be any repercussions. And the best way to do this is actually to have a third party conduct the survey for you. The reason for this is that the survey can then be truly anonymous, and you will have a greater level of confidence from your employees that the data will be treated anonymously. What happens from there is all of the information is collated from the surveys, and the themes are reported back often to the leadership team in the first instance. Now, the data can actually be broken out by departments or states or regions, depending on what makes sense for your organisation. From there, it's critical that you actually communicate the key themes back to the broader workforce. They've given a lot of their time. They've also displayed vulnerability and shared their feedback with you. So it's absolutely critical that we close that feedback loop. However, closing the feedback loop is not enough. Where engagement surveys often go wrong is following the sharing of information. Employees then sit back and say, well, what's going to happen now? And if they don't have confidence that as a leadership team, you're going to be driving the desired changes that have been shared through the feedback, then they're going to start to lose confidence, and that can put you in a really vulnerable state, particularly with high performers. So the recommended approach from here is then to deeply engage teams in fleshing out some of the themes and ultimately creating plans of action so they have a real sense of ownership around the changes that they want to see, rather than sitting back and looking from the outside in and judging the leadership team and others to see if they're going to deliver per their expectations. Finally, the key concept here is to keep it alive. Inevitably, when you get feedback, there's going to be some quick wins, but there's going to be other areas that are going to be evolving and developing over time. It's critical that you integrate into your company cadence or communication program what you've got planned ahead in terms of driving engagement, and then also celebrating the successes and the wins as you've achieved them. In summary, if you're going to measure employee engagement, be prepared that this is going to create a journey for you. It will be an exceptionally powerful journey that will take your organization's performance to another level. However, it can't be done as a superficial exercise. Otherwise, it could actually do more damage than good. If you'd like to talk about how you can measure employee engagement within your organization, we'd be delighted to explore that further with you. Please reach out.